It's August 30th, 2021. Hurricane Ida is hitting Louisiana, and they're in the middle of their storm. According to my news media, I'm lost in time and space, and I'm relying on a spotlight machine to feed me accurate data. It's hard to be excited or to be hopeful that it's accurate, but for my needs in time lapsing and time sewing, seeding together, it works, I suppose. So it's August 30th, 2021, which if I make a sound, it's Zozie. It's Nicole Cattaruzza, star 1978, star 8378. I was watching about this Ida storm, and a couple of things. One, they mentioned, I pronounce it Cajun, Cajun, but the news kept pronouncing it Cajun, which makes sense, more French, in les États-Unis. And then I was thinking, I'm like, Montreal is like M.O. real, and that goes in with is real, but they got a dyslexic letter arrangement going on, so take that in Ottawa for what it is. And I got an Ottoman Empire issue with the state of New York and the Empire State. Last reliable thing I got, they say it's St. Gregory's at Constantinople right now in the wrong sequence, but Alexander, either way, is in charge of Constantinople. So Alexander James, which is my son, because I own one dimension with he in exact size since space and time in ATIP, UAP, and UFO is, or tore already, like a tear in a seam, like you get too large in your pants and then you sit down at a banquet and the entire middle just rips right open. That kind of embarrassment, right? That's what's already gone on. And I'm looking for those people who know such things, but I can't find them day to day. Wouldn't know how. So, just covering my whatever derriere while I'm waiting. So there's a mention about Cajun Navy. Never heard of them before in New York. I then looked them up on a YouTube to see there was a woman, who said that she was outside and the electric was actually jumping from one electric pole to another, but in all different colors. It was blue, green, purple, I think she said weird colors. It was orange, purple, I think, and green. Orange, purple, green is what was jumping between cables down there when the electric just, fell over. I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, I've never heard anybody, explain lightning or electricity, in a fashion of color. I mean, I know it exists, with photon being what it is, but I've just never heard of the humans speak of it. So I'm like, I'll just put that feather in my cap for a human acknowledged it. Now I know that somebody knows. There's got to be a department or a compartment of humans somewhere that deal in such things of importance, because I'll tell you right now, the swelling of my face, I mean, I'm not on any kind of special diet. I go out and I do as much walking as I possibly can here. But in this Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, the color symmetry, now I'm not talking color of someone's skin, although that demographic is off as well. There's an integral part of it. I met a man when I went up to see Steve Morris at broker owner training of a realty office called Exit, EXIT. Steve had invited us, he was doing a broker owner training, and that was when I partnered up with Rich McCullough, and I was following him around for real estate purposes. And so I went up, and part of the weekend, Steve had rented a bus to transport us from the training seminar center to, I think, take a tour of the office, the corporate office. And I think that's in Ottawa. I got confused of where I was in Canada, honestly. I just got on the bus wherever they said, and I just was on my way. I wasn't really mapping out destinations and things. I really don't get to travel much, so, and it was strictly like business, and I was discombobulated, let's just say, for lack of a better word. Tia Frio was with me, it's whatever. Islam, let's just put it that way, Tia Frio, on the run. So now let's think about this. Alright, so then I had...
You putting your shit to bed? It's 10:30.
I will. Just give me a second.
Just seconds, 10:30.
So then, I'm on the bus, and somebody mentioned something to me about pansies, which I know I've heard, and I know it's a flower. I never looked it up. I looked it up tonight. I put it up as a reference with Madagascar, because Madagascar, he's like, the lemur comes out, and that's Lemurian, for, he comes out, he goes, it's the New York Giants, but that's a Norse mythology between the giant consortium of conglomerates and then in their self-funding new way of dangerous habits as humans. And then the gods, who are few but need to quietly rebalance out some energy. So now, if your eyes are some form of a pansy light, let's call it, because it's a beautiful consortium of color in different eye shape, eyeball, whatever. So if they're like a bunch of pansy lights at whatever color they are, they report in to one section of balancing out. And then there's the actual balancing of the coded grid that surrounds them, and what all the electric, I mean, there's so many things, different things that run off of this. But when the balance is out, so right now I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, in the Empire, and I am being coded wrong. So the magnetics around me and like the EMP, like the emergency magnetic protection for the human anatomy, has been hacked. It's been hacked and it's been hijacked. And now it's like someone in the, I don't know why the white guys can't just go kill all the kids touching the keyboards fucking with the grid, but I mean, here I am at like too easy a solution. I mean, time and space ripped apart. They confirmed it. Like, at what part are you letting the part of time and space that owns a dimension with a carbon copy she brought into your dimension to help sew and seam time and space back together and balancing out nature? When do you let that kid get out of this game that you all made, some video gamers' gross habitat where they do icky things? So anyway, So the blinking lights. So, anyways, the man on the bus mentioned something about Pansie, but I'm getting off topic because going back to the woman at Cajun, because it is almost like being not Lex Luthor, what Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. He wears that mask with the metal things, right? Imagine that mask on the top of your head, and then your natural beat, pattern, and rhythm of brainwave and thoughts constantly being messed with someone tuning a dial within your personal home energy grid at will. Could be they come through electric if it's a Cat 5 that's coded in a blue, could be Cat 5 in a yellow or an orange, what do I know? Depends on the area. That's why some of this stuff is like homeland security, because each homeland has a different sequence of events to protect them from the shitbag siblings and cousins and fights elsewhere. But I seem to be, my legs are not the MYO strands of my, if we're speaking French, niece, NAISE, which means woman, is not signaling properly. So I'm having a spot or like a faux read of almost like an MS or an ALS where it starts to degrade on muscle communication with the outside environment. But it has to do with balancing out the lights coming from intake of the retinas of what, not necessarily nationality, but how they code the humans on the terra firma. It has to do with astrological, it has to do with cosmological, it has to do with physics, it has to do with the outside energy grid and the magnetics, and then that has to do with the pole, the tetragramon, and how the sequencing is set up. And currently, they seem to be running off of alternate currents, so it's making things, they've put way too many people into the mix of this, not just in demographics, but in context and conjecture. And now there's so many people involved that know it's a priority, know it's important, but yet I've been sitting on the shelf for 43 years. And Linda's been sitting on the shelf for 70 before me, or 30 before me. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.